Very good. A very good afternoon. So many people turning up. My name is Jan Maarten de Vet, here from the Green Assist Initiative. Delighted to have you today. We'll start in a few minutes to make sure that everybody who wants to join can join in this 1 hour and 50-minute webinar on Green Assist, where we are going to talk about water resilience, a very, very important and exciting topic, given the fact that 2/3 of the planet is actually water. And there we see that already on the slide. So good to have you. We have a lot of interest today in the webinar. We will start the webinar in just a few moments. So thank you for joining. So we have indeed an echo. Is somebody saying, okay, good to see where the echo is coming from. Matthäus and Andrea, you are our technical host today. Any issues with the sound? No? If somebody has an echo, then you may want to turn off your micro, right? So I think that's the idea. We are recording today's session, so that is already in process. As we may publish the footage later on. So we assume that you agree with that indeed. Good afternoon. All mics are off. Okay, got that. Okay, good. So you're all in listening mode, which is a wonderful mode to be in. And I would say it's 15:03. What do you think, colleagues? I think we can start, right, with this very exciting webinar. Good afternoon. My name is Jan Maarten de Vet. I'm representing the Green Assist advisory program that we'll hear more about. And absolutely delighted to be with colleagues. And Green Assist is managed by CINEA, an agency of the European Commission. And the Green Assist is funded by LIFE, and the policy DG behind it is DG Environment. And a lot of policies are coming from DG Environment these days, including that on water resilience. What are we going to do today? We are going to listen actually to what is the latest in this policy domain from two fine colleagues from DG Environment, and the buzzword is water resilience. After that, we will actually dive directly into how we can make projects related to water resilience, and that will be done by our colleague Christina. Great to have you, Christina, today in the call. And then we actually have two very interesting presentations from people who have used Green Assist. Jean-Michel Pommet, who is also with us today. Great to have you, Jean-Michel. And Özge Yilmaz, who is an expert, a Green Assist expert. We will then close the webinar with some words from our dear colleague Philip Tropman from CINEA. And by that time, it's 16:15. Now everybody is busy these days, so I'm really keen to finish at 16:15 here in sunny Brussels, wherever you are. So that means that we all need to be a bit disciplined, especially speakers, and therefore, without further ado, let's get started. And I'm delighted to give the floor to two colleagues, Paul Arnoldus and Trudy Higgins from DG Environment, who will actually talk about the upcoming water resilience strategy. Here, upcoming, it's not out there yet, but it's very exciting to see actually what is cooking in the water and what you can share with us. So without further ado, Paul, the floor is yours. What can we expect from the EU in this water resilience area?
Thank you very much, Jan Maarten, also on behalf of my colleague Trudy Higgins, who is at another place than me. I propose that I give you an introduction, and there will be in the presentation some slides presented by Trudy. You said, what is boiling in the water? Well, in fact, it's an egg, but not a hard-boiled egg. It's still quite soft because it's still cooking. Because we're still busy with the water resilience strategy. It is work under development. The expected adoption is before summer, but there's still quite some intense discussions ongoing. So I will not be able to give you the concrete actions because they have not yet been decided. What I can give you is an outline of what we expect, or what I expect, because I speak on personal title, to be the goals. And let's just start first with the vision. Water resilience is basically about changing the way we use water. Water is a finite resource, and it's important for nature, humans, and the economy, and we need to use it better, which means that with all the challenges we have coming to us, climate change, increased demand, etc., that we do it in a way that we can withstand shocks and become more sustainable. That's a vision we would like to have achieved around 2050, and we see 3 interlinked goals showing how broad the strategy is: restoring and protecting the water cycle, building a water smart economy, and securing clean and affordable water for all. Let's say a little bit more about these 3 interlinked goals. Next slide, please. Hydrologists point increasingly out the evidence is accumulating that the way how we deal with the planet on the water dimension is that we seriously disrupt the hydrological cycle. We invoke part of the droughts on us, not just to climate change, but also because vegetation forests are no longer there, which provoke rain in other regions. So what are we and we also, with scarcer water, we pollute it, which is in fact one of the biggest scandals we have today. If we have less water, why would we make it dirty? So what we plan under this header is get away with the backlog on the acquis. Acquis means the legislative framework at EU level for all water policy. There is a backlog in investments there, and it is not evenly spread over the EU. Trudy is probably able to say a bit about that on wastewater if she wishes so. Then already said preventing pollution and realizing the transboundary effects of that. If you pollute upstream, it has effects downstream. The same is, by the way, true for quantity. If you use a lot of water upstream, downstream you will have less. To counter this, we also need to learn how to stabilize a bit our water supply by relying more on nature. We have pushed nature back too far, so floodplains is a very good example where you protect people against excessive floods increased by climate change, and also keep the water for the drier periods. Next slide, please. That's water smart economy. Competitiveness is very, very important for this college. So whatever we do, our policy needs to contribute to competitiveness for the whole EU economy, the prosperity of the citizens, specifically for the water tech industry. This also means that we need to stop wasting water. We need to be more efficient with water, and that we think there will be a recommendation of water efficiency first, which I can talk about later a bit more. Water resilience has to be done therefore in all water user sectors, not just the utility sector, but everyone who uses water in significant degree needs to take actions to save more water and to pollute less. Next slide, please. So securing clean and affordable water of all. This is the formulation from the human right, which water is. That you have the right of something does also mean a responsibility. So consumers need to be aware of their water use and reduce where possible. It also means that, and that's the topic I will give the floor to Trudy in a minute, is implementing the new drinking water directive and wastewater treatment directive. And we're also going to talk about a big taboo, which is water pricing. I think the water pricing will matter for some of you who needs have a better view on revenues for the investment projects. Trudy, can I give the floor to you? Hello, Trudy, are you there?
I'm not sure we have Trudy already here now.
I've seen her in the past. Otherwise, I just go on with the view
Is
of the
it okay
time.
to do so? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, please. So we have the recast. She's there. Come on, Trudy.
No,
Trudy.
I've got it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, Trudy. Over to you.
Yes. Okay. So what I'll do is just give you all a very brief overview of two directives that have recently, in the last 4 years, entered into force. The recast Drinking Water Directive and then the recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive. And the relevance is that historically, over the last over 30 years, significant investments have been made in both directives in providing infrastructure and then operating this infrastructure in the provision of drinking water and wastewater services to the public. What we have in the recast Drinking Water Directive is a directive that better reflects the demands of today in terms of climate adaptation and pollution, and in terms of the main driver for drinking water is public health. So we have higher treatment technology requirements that result in better safety standards. We also have a risk-based approach that supports source control of pollutants, but also an approach that goes from catchment through abstractions to drinking water supplies and drinking water treatment. So that as well as looking at improved quality for drinking water, we also are looking at the quantitative aspect, which is very important. Historically, there's been a lot of leakage in drinking water networks and infrastructure. So what we do with this new directive is we are really pushing for reduced leakage in terms of more sustainable water supplies that are better managed. In parallel to that, in both directives, we have strengthened requirements in terms of access to water and sanitation as making sure, particularly for vulnerable and marginalised groups, a lot more digitization and transparency for both the operators, the general public and the consumers. So more data, better understanding how operators are managing their water sources, and also requirements in terms of the materials. So a lot of innovation there in terms of technologies, digitization particularly. And going on to the next slide, again, keeping it short, we can always talk later more. Just as of this year, recast Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive has come into place. We've extended the scope, and what I'd say before I go into this and any further is these are very large, challenging directives for member states and for municipalities to develop. And even today, member states and at a more local level, there's challenges in even meeting the old directive, which is from 1991. This new directive is a lot more reflective of the European Green Deal, but it's also much more challenging in terms of delivery. So we're increasing the scope, so there's more smaller urban agglomerations included. We're increasing the standards for the removal of nutrients, which we call tertiary treatment, including standards for quaternary treatment, which is removing micropollutants. For the first time, we're looking at energy neutrality, where we really want to push the sector to get into energy generation as well as energy efficiency. And complementary to that, we have access to sanitation again. We are looking at surveillance of health parameters, and also again a risk-based approach. And again here you can see that the drivers are very much on treatment technologies, improved treatment technologies. We're looking at more blue-green infrastructure through our integrated plans, better water reuse and source control. And again, there's many opportunities there in terms of digitization to improve delivery. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trudy, for guiding us through this conventional, but at the same time very new area. As said in the introduction already, people should not be misled by thinking, oh, this is just a continuation of the past. The new demands will require investments of quite a new type as before, like the quaternary treatment and the energy neutrality. Next slide, please. So I would briefly sail through very quickly with the view of the time of enabling areas, so potential actions. So as regards governance, there will be a push for better implementation, which means that in February the Commission has published its evaluation of the river basin management plans. It's basically about the quality of the status of the waters in Europe. And there are a lot of implementation gaps, starting from monitoring, but also in pursuing measures, which probably will lead to an increased demand for investments, which for a part should already be in the program of measures, but we have suggested here and there that member states should ideally step up, which requires investments, the second area. So I think there will be, the Commission has already adopted a proposal 1st of April to better conditions for financial support for water relevant investments. Just look for that on the press release. We are also strengthening our cooperation with the EIB, including a very elaborate study on investment needs, which will conclude this presentation. And last but not least on this area, why you are here, the technical assistance, which is key for our efforts. I think that Trudy already mentioned digitalization. It's not just in this very broad area she talked about, but even across everything, including observation. We should have a better monitoring control how we use our water. Next slide, please. And that can lead to quite innovative investments in the observation, but also for some other investors, among perhaps some in the public, in using this new form of data. So innovation is very important. Innovation, we recognize, also requires skills. It's sometimes forgotten, but it is very important to have the right people there. Now, we know that the EU water technology industry is leading in the world, and we want to bolster its competitiveness by applications in Europe and beyond. Security, the last point. This is a dimension which really come up. You may have heard that the EU has adopted the EU preparedness strategy. So security is different dimensions, protections against flood and drought, but also for geopolitical risks is part of that. And sometimes they go together, as Poland has explained to us, that the restoration of wetlands also serves a defensive purpose. And this also links back then to adapting well to climates, where a lot of these uncertainties are coming from. Next slide, please. I try to storm through it. This is from the study which has just begun a month ago. There's a huge lack of data, but we want to collate all information we have on the need for investments and then matching finances. This study is for large part paid by the Commission, but is led by the EIB. It is a consortium of consultants led by the French consultants consortium AETS. If you want to know more, I stand ready to answer your questions. I just want to have this in to show that investment needs is not just in the category 2, which is about irrigation, and then the sectors Trudy talked about, drinking water and wastewater, but also we want to know more quantitatively about the size of the investments in nature-based solutions. And we also go back what we call the machinery cost. A lot of member states still need to be much better in monitoring the water quality and digitalize this. Then the third category is where the water efficiency first principle comes in. Before we're going to build expensive plants to extend water supply through non-conventional means like desalination, maybe it's a good idea to achieve water savings at the water user side and eradicate unsustainable water use. That also requires investments, and we think that these investments are more cost effective than building a new plant, but we hope this study could shed more light on this. Next slide, please. This is this water efficiency first. It's a form of a hierarchy. Don't take it too rigidly, but we need to understand the logic before we're going to invest. Let us reduce unnecessary wasteful water demand. then let's be smarter and more efficient what we use. Let's also reuse water more before we're going to increase supply. It's not only about increasing supply, stabilization of supply is through all kinds of smart ways like nature-based solutions is also the issue. Next slide, please. I think I'm now at the end. Where I get, it is, you have to press a number of time of return. How funny. I quoted the poem from some Chinese poets that has gone lost. Can you push a number of time of return? Like next slide. There you go.
There it comes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wang Wei, for a poetic insight, which reminds us that to reach the yellow flowered river, we have to go by the green assistance stream. So we're at the start of our journey. We would like to assist you on your journey in your projects in any way we can. At this point, I just have to say to you to wish you good luck and a lot of success with all your endeavors. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Paul and Trudy, for this poetic end, but also for the very ambitious, as it sounds, a very ambitious water strategy, water resilience strategy coming up soon. So thanks for those insights. There's a lot in it, and very exciting to also see that there seems to be really the comprehensive approach to water, which includes the recast of these two very powerful directives. And indeed, these directives are actually very important also for driving investments and driving green business models in this area that we're going to talk about soon. So just seeing whether there are any immediate questions now, not at this stage, I think. So then if you allow, it would be good to actually turn now the conversation, the pathway, as you call it poetically, towards the green and water related investment, because that's what we would like to talk about. So if this is the regulatory push that we can expect from the Commission to come, what does that mean in terms of investments and projects, and also their feasibility, and what can then be done in terms of supporting the development of such projects, which is Green Assist. So Christina, you're in the engine room of the Green Assist. So can you tell us a little bit what Green Assist is in the context of this water project, so that the many colleagues in the call, more than 100 now, get a bit more of an idea how actually Green Assist could be used to push forward the water agenda. Over to you, Christina.
Hello, Jan Martin, and welcome everyone. So in a nutshell, Green Assist is an advisory service provider that aims to prepare green or greener investment projects, and the overall objective is to build a pipeline of green investment projects. It addresses both private and public beneficiaries, as well as public-private partnerships, and covers a diversified set of sectors and also thematics. It's on demand, so there's no deadline for application. It's open until throughout the duration of the contract. It's free for the beneficiaries, and it's individually tailored to everyone's needs, together with the selected experts. So there is the experts are selected from a specialized expert pool or the so-called roster, and they are specifically contracted for each request. We can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, there are two types of services that Green Assist provides. The first one that we are going to focus a bit more today is the project or investment advisory, which is open to suitable projects with environmental benefit that are matched to one or maximum two experts from the roster. The typical duration is an average of 50 working days over the period of 3 to 6 months, and it's based, as mentioned, on a tailored work program. There are different types of support. Some of them are related to the preparation, development, and implementation of the project. It could vary from validation of business models, business plans, commercial value proposals, etc. Environmental due diligence, such as life cycle assessment, do no significant harm assessment, assessment of environmental externalities or risks, as well as financial structuring and fundraising, which is including blended and combined use of funds. It's worth noting that we do not support the preparation of grant applications per se, but we support support applicants with the preparation of the necessary and relevant documents that could help them with the preparation of the applications. The other type of support is the enabling advisory, which is open to multipliers and is delivered by 4 pre-selected consultancies, with one selected from those. The typical support duration is, well, depending on the specific work program that is agreed between the requester and CINEA. And the types of advisory that are covered is capacity building, including training, design of tools, market development activities, and enhanced capacity for investment readiness. If we can go to the next slide, please. The types of sectors and activities that Green Assist supports. So the main thematic areas are biodiversity, natural capital, and circular economy. And Green Assist supports projects that have benefit to any of those thematic sectors. But we also support projects in traditional economic sectors such as agriculture, forestry, fisheries, blue economy, industries, infrastructure, transport, and finance, as long as the environmental benefit of the project is significant. If we can go to the next slide, then we have a few examples of the projects that we usually receive. Next slide, please. There are 3 types of projects that we support. Green projects that face technical challenges, green projects that face business challenges, or investment projects that want to improve their environmental performance. And on the next slides, we have prepared a few examples. They're illustrative examples just to give you an idea of the types of projects that we receive and the support we can provide. So the first example is by a public authority that is working on a project for water resilience through nature-based solutions. And essentially, they're looking for technical support on their already green project. So the project is about urban nature-based solutions that aim to improve the water resilience. And they require technical assistance to deliver an ecological methodology to deliver long-term ecosystem services. They don't have resources and experts, hence Green Assist can support. If we can go to the next example, it's by a private company. And the project is aiming to close the loop through circular water solutions, and they're facing some challenges with their investment readiness. So the project is about a wastewater reuse and resource recovery that needs to be transformed into a circular urban water system. They have already piloted the technology, however, they have not fully integrated their business model into the operational financial planning. So they need a review of the circular business model, cost-benefit analysis, and market analysis. And again, they don't have resources, they don't have expert available, hence Green Assist can chip in and help them. And the third example, if we can go to the next slide, is from a tech startup, and the project is related to smart cleaning systems for rivers and urban canals. So this is a more general investment project that needs to enhance their environmental performance. So the project is related to autonomous floating cleaning devices that aim to clean urban waterways. They have piloted the technology, they have the sensor data platform. However, they need to further enhance their environmental performance. Hence, the support they need is related to quantifying ecological restoration impact related to biodiversity and water quality, developing ecosystem KPIs, and building performance-linked business models. They don't have any local expertise to provide the independent review, and they also don't have expertise in developing business models, so Green Assist can again support them. If we can go to the next slide, we also have a few practical advice on slide, please. So the usual way of submitting a request for advisory service is through the advisory portal of the InvestEU. It's a quite straightforward and fast process. It shouldn't take more than, let's say, 15 to 30 minutes to submit an application. There's a few things that are requested, and most of the questions are well, most of the questions you can select from already existing menu, and for a few, they're open-ended questions. So you need to select the advisory support that you're requesting, project identification, planning, financial structuring, etc. There's a list of quite exhaustive list of services. Then you need to select the sector of your project, select the type of project promoter that you are, public-private or public-private partnership, include a project description that outlines the needs for the advisory services. Here it's important to mention also Green Assist, because the InvestEU portal has a few partners, and Green Assist is only one of them. So mentioning Green Assist in the application fast forwards the process. Then the portal asks you to indicate the estimated project costs in euro, and to indicate whether you have already taken any actions in terms of business plan, market and demand analysis, investment cost estimates. If we can go to the next slide. The most important part of the application is, of course, the project description. So it's very limited. There's only 2,000 symbols, which is approximately 200 to 500 words. So it doesn't allow for a lot of information. So we would advise that the following are considered. So the objectives and the scope of the project, as well as the geographical location, the concrete advisory support needs. Do you need business advisory to enhance your investment readiness, or technical advisory to enhance your environmental performance? And the most important is perhaps the environmental impact of the project. If you can go to the next slide. So this is what happens after the submission of your request. The InvestEU portal colleagues review the request and allocate it to Green Assist, after which we check for completeness of information. So in the considering that the project overview part of the InvestEU application is quite limited, we usually contact for clarification, sending a Word document of a clarification questionnaire. So don't worry, you can fill in more information there. After we have received the clarification questionnaire back from you, we check the eligibility of the request, and we also confirm this with the European Commission, with CINEA. After this has been confirmed, we match to the experts, to the selected experts. So it could be 1 or 2 experts, depending on the needs of the project. And together with the expert and the beneficiary, we design the work program. It's tailored. So we take into consideration your needs, your availability, and after this has been agreed on with the beneficiary and the experts, we also have to agree with the European Commission, and then we are ready to launch the support. In total, this process should take around a month, but depending on availability of the relevant parties, of course, it can vary. It could be shorter, it could be longer. It's on case-to-case basis. And on the next slide, we have also prepared a brief overview of the eligibility criteria. So a few important points to consider: that the project needs to deliver a clear environmental benefit related to biodiversity protection, waste reduction, water, air quality, carbon sequestration, soil regeneration, etc. It needs to be located in the EU 27 member states or in other life participating countries, and the project coordinator needs to be based in any of these countries. It needs to fall under the Green Assist investment areas, which are natural capital, circular economy, water resilience, and the minimum investment needs to be 2.5 million. We could consider requests with a lower investment size of, let's say, between 1 to 2.5 million, where we see that the environmental impact is very strong and there's a strong replication potential of the project. The project needs to have clear objectives, clear vision, and defined milestones. And the applicant needs to show that they're committed and that they have the internal capacity to engage with the experts. Of course, the request needs to be clear. It shouldn't be duplicative to any other additional support that have been received by any other technical assistance, either private or European or national. It needs to, of course, need to advance its project maturity. And this is all in a nutshell about Green Assist. So
thank you, Christina. Yeah. That's a lot altogether to swallow, but it almost sounds too good to be true. Huh? But no jokes. Life is very generous for those who really manage to come with projects that strengthen the, as you say, the environmental impact. There needs to be indeed, a financial, let's say, envelope, you say minimum 1 million, preferably 2.5 million. And it needs to be in the areas really greening. And of course, many projects in the water area are there. You mentioned indeed there is a quick turnaround time. We know, one question perhaps, Christine, we know from many other programs that, it's not very easy to get. Can you already say a little bit, what is the average chance of applicants to actually get the support? Is it 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 5 out of 10, or something like that? Just,
Yeah, no, it's actually, I think based on our estimates, it's 4 out of 6 that receive support. Of course, we need to have a very committed team and a strong environmental benefit and an investment size of 1 to 2.5 million. But it's quite a
good. But many projects are running already. Right? 70, 80 projects are already. So that's fantastic. Growing portfolio of projects. Thank you so much. We see some questions are coming up, so it's great. Hope that everybody is able to hear. We see there have been some sound issues, but it seems also they have been resolved. I propose we steam on with some two more speakers to make this really land a little bit, and then we take the questions after that. We have some windows for that. But you say indeed this is a unique combination in this Green Assist because we are matching applicants of project beneficiaries, right, with experts. And therefore, we're delighted to have from both sides a testimony. So I would like to then turn to Jean-Michel Pommet from CINEA, is a company. And the company is in the area of nature-based, circular and decarbonated water treatment solutions. So this is actually a business. It's interesting to see, Jean-Michel, indeed, that you can, make a business out of the water area. There are many businesses, but it's very interesting to hear a bit from you. And also, of course, it's good to hear, whether Green Assist has been useful for you or not at all. Feel free to be, we are here amongst friends. So if it's not useful, then, it may be even more exciting. But in all honesty, we are very excited to have you and to share some words of wisdom on what you heard so far and what has been your experience in this area. Over to you, Jean-Michel.
Yeah, that's very nice introduction. Thank you very much, Jan. And to start, a big thanks to Green Assist team. It has been really a very good experience. A special thanks to Gauthier Clar. We met kind of 2 years ago at the beginning of the company, and it was like a perfect match because we answer so many of the goal the EU wants to achieve in this water resilience issue, and that's I'm very proud to have been selected and to testimony today. Just to give you a taste of what and who we are, CINEA basically specialize in cleaning industrial wastewater by applying a natural process through a nature-based solution. The technology is designed to address wastewater from mainly today the food processing industry and aquaculture, both of which typically contain high concentration of nitrogen and phosphorus. Basically the effluent from food processing and aquaculture contain this high level, which contribute to eutrophication, the death of water. When finally discharged into natural water bodies like lakes, river, and seas. So it's very interesting what has been mentioned before about the vision. If we treat upstream, we can really bring a strong impact because eutrophication leads to excessive algal bloom that consume available nutrient and create a big issue. Oxygen depletion, fish mortality, and finally a degraded water quality. So the thing is, when we arrive on the market, we realize that conventional nutrient treatment system require both large spatial footprint, which may not be feasible to all industries sitting, and they don't have a big they can't recover all the nitrate and phosphate, and finally you need to add a new solution. And then he finally mimics the process of eutrophication, but in a control environment using a good microalgae strain. We use microalgae to totally clean water. And this is in liminal spatial footprint because we use photobioreactors, a kind of tank with light inside. And additionally, Zeni contributes to a circular economy through a zero waste approach by allowing for both reuse of water that has been treated and the valorization in various applications of the algae biomass that has been produce on the wastewater treatment. So a lot of ROI on the industrial client. So next slide, please. So when we met with Green Assist, it was really a very important moment because after our first 6 months of experience, even if we started before we created the company, we had many proof of concept in many industrial client industries, subsectors like brewery, dairy industry, and many others, and aquaculture, of course. And we immediately we have seen that we needed investment, and then we to be help assist in how to propose the best business model. We met Green Assist at the right moment, and they help us a lot for many reasons. At the European scale, first of all, we had the chance to target and to make a better focus on both European target and market. I mean, for example, we target on the brewery industry, Belgium, Germany, and France, and we had a very interesting interview with concrete people. So the expert that assist us, they contact directly industrial people. They make a really a very focused and tailor-made market study, and they help us in building the way we will talk to investor to get funding into the company. And we are actually in a seed funding, and we are about to close our first round, and that's really it has been so helpful because we had a better wording, also a very simple thing, but we had the right data, very focused. We had interview with real potential client, and actually we are in discussion with people in Belgium, in the Netherlands, for the dairy industry and so on. They are an advanced discussion with these people, so we are very, very happy about that. And it allows us to have a better commercial strategy at the end. And then for investors, it's critical, actually. So it's what I have to say. And maybe to on the impact side, it is really very important because we, of course, we wanted to avoid greenwashing, and we know that we have a fantastic opportunity with Zeni because microalgae is the only way to make a decarbonated wastewater treatment, and that's really something we need to push, but we need to do that properly and to demonstrate after, and we will go back to a Green Assist for LCA and so on to go forward and further to demonstrate that we have a real impact that is measured, and we can have access to the carbon credit and so many other positive externalities with microalgae. And to end, that circularity is major because it has been mentioned by the European Commission that one of the goals also is to push a better agriculture upstream. If the water is better quality and if we add the algae back to land, we regenerate soil, and then we create a future, a more sustainable and competitive agriculture in Europe. So that's very important, I think. So this multi-impact has been put in light with this green assistance, and very happy for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean-Michel. So that's closing the loop. Wonderful indeed. Very good. Many people say, oh, we can't find the money. But what you say is actually, well, you know, you need to prepare your case. You need to do proper market studies and prepare your case. And then actually it's easy to find the money. And what a beautiful topic that you address. Eutrophication is such a problem in the water. And we know that at least 80% of it comes actually from the land, right? So the land and the water are so much related to each other. And by your work, indeed, you know, addressing eutrophication seems far from greenwashing. So really an example of a project which is right in the heart of the topic of today. So wishing you well, and happy to hear indeed that Green Assist helped you. So in the meantime, the questions are rolling in. Some of them are very easy. So yes, Green Assist is indeed a free advisory service, as I can tell already now. And the other questions also, will come to those later, but feel free to post them already now in the chat, because we are going to move now to one other side, is the expert side. And very interesting, I was on a water-related event not long ago, and I came across a stand of a project called Click Recycle, and they had used Green Assist already, and started talking to the people, and they said, oh yeah, but we made use of one of your fine experts who worked on life cycle analysis. And who was that expert? Surprise, it was Uske. Hello, Uske, good to have you. I wanted to introduce you as a life cycle guru, but you said that's a bit too much honor. But nevertheless, life cycle analysis is so important, you know. We heard it also in the presentation earlier from the DG Environment colleagues, such an important method to really look at the environmental value of a project. So can you shed some light over your experience on Green Assist, and also how your projects have actually helped on the topic of today? Over to you.
Thank you, Jan-Martin. Thanks for the nice introduction. I would have loved to be something like I'll say Jedi or something if I could do it. But by the way, Valerie is here from Click Recycle, so I would like to say hi to her. Well, let's start with a very brief introduction to the life cycle assessment. It's a methodology that we apply to compile and assess the inputs and outputs of a product or a service to determine its potential environmental impacts, and we do it considering the whole life cycle of things. So starting from the raw material extraction to all the way to disposal or recycling, or what we call the end of life or cradle to grave. It is scientifically robust because we compile the data from actual processes, and we also use, you know, environmental fate models to determine the environmental impacts and to quantify them. It is transparent. We try to be transparent in what we are reporting, so that's why it's a good tool to avoid greenwashing, for example. It is comprehensive in the sense that it doesn't just look into just one kind of indicator like carbon footprint, but it looks at different impacts in different environmental compartments. And it's also a great tool to do comparative assessment between different products, different scenarios, or different production technologies. Next slide, please. So what life cycle can offer for beneficiaries? Of course, since it can be applied in different circumstances, we can apply life cycle assessment for the organizational activities or services in addition to the products. And by using this information, we consider both the materials, energy, as well as the outputs in the form of products or byproducts or any kind of emissions and waste. It is for us to possible to estimate the level of various environmental impacts on different compartments, and also the damages that these impacts create on human health or ecosystem health or natural resources. So we can identify hotspots and also opportunities to improve the environmental performance at the products at different stages, or the activities at different life cycle stages. It surely provides credibility to the business models through validation of environmental claims that are used for marketing. It of course creates a concrete basis for sustainable innovation. So even the TRL may not be too high, still life cycle assessment can be applied iteratively to show and address hotspots at early stages of innovation. It can inform decision makers not only in the private sector side, but also on the government or non-governmental organization side. So it can, support strategic planning and policy development. And finally, it can be used for monitoring and comparisons through the KPIs that might be relevant to the company or to the organizations. Next slide, please. The life cycle assessment activities under Green Assist, it can, benefits different groups of stakeholders from the innovation side, private sector side, SME side. They can benefit from a reliable assessment of their environmental impacts that can support the value proposition. They can benefit from a deeper understanding of their hotspots and prevent trade-offs, because we think that of course we have the good idea, we think that it's beneficial for the environment, we are creating benefits, but we should also be mindful about the trade-offs that may be potentially there. So life cycle assessment can address that. Life cycle assessment can provide support for securing sustainable finance for business growth. It can avoid greenwashing, and it can, keep the companies competitive. It can also create capacity building, not only for companies, but across the value chain, because it is our experience that the value chain information that is so crucial for life cycle assessment or other types of assessment may be there in the value chain, but we cannot access them, or the flow of information is not there. So this is a good, experience to establish that connection as well. From the public authorities' point of view, it can provide a high-level overview of environmental impacts, especially when the activities, industrial and urban activities, are so complex. It can help them to access new funding opportunities to support their sustainable operations. It can provide credibility and transparency for their activities in the eye of constituents and taxpayers. It can support the strategic planning and policy making activities. It can support comparisons, ex-ante comparisons about the policies that are upcoming. Of course, this is an effective tool for monitoring. Next slide, please. We are underlining the fact that building credibility is so important for the beneficiaries under the Green Assist program, and LCA offers a strong foundation because it is conducted according to internationally accepted standards. It is based on scientifically developed indicators. It seeks to be relevant, case-specific, consistent, and transparent. But for the LCA and for the experts to provide this, of course, the life cycle assessment itself needs to be credible. As I said, life cycle assessment, we develop models and we gather information on a case-by-case basis. Of course, it's common to come across data gaps, which require the experts to make some value choices and some assumptions. Also, when we are moving from the impact side to the damage side, of course, the aggregation of data, it can create some uncertainties. But there are ways to address it. What we do is we always deliver some uncertainty and sensitivity analysis for the beneficiaries, so they would know what may change, how the results may change if some parameters change within their conditions. Also, it is possible, especially if the LCA reports, LCA results will be publicly disclosed, there needs to be a critical review by an external expert, or even the beneficiaries can, start the process of receiving a certification based on life cycle assessment, like an environmental product declaration or product environmental footprint. So that means there needs to be a cross-validation for this process. Next slide, please. To our experience so far, I will be presenting two, examples that I was involved. I was, lucky to be involved under the Green Assist program. At the starting phase, when we were, coming across how we are going to use life cycle assessment, we realized there needs to be a little bit of tailoring depending on the needs of the beneficiary and needs of the project itself. So we can, of course, apply life cycle assessment, especially for the water resilience. We have some different indicators that we can look into within the framework of life cycle assessment. Also, we can apply a different international standard. It is very much related to life cycle assessment. It has the same approach with the life cycle assessment. So we can apply a water footprint study, and we can look into a little bit deeper into, other water-related indicators like scarcity or water availability, which is related to the geography that the activity is taking place. We, especially when it comes to the plastics and the plastic pollution in marine environment, right now there are a lot of developments that help us to look into a little bit deeper into the plastic pollution, like the Plastic Leak Project. They have their own methodology to estimate the macro and micro plastic pollution that is being released into the environment. And there are new LCA methods developing. One of them is the marine impacts and life cycle assessment, and it helps us to, understand the marine impacts by life cycle assessment, particularly from the marine litter, plastic marine litter. Yes, please. The next slide, please. Yeah. So this is first project that I was involved in. The Click Recycle. The company applies a circular business model by using a very interesting raw material. It's the human hair, and they're producing two products. One agricultural mulch, and another one is the adsorption barriers. In fact, in the agricultural mulch, they are transforming waste hair and hemp into biodegradable mulch products. We looked into the life cycle assessment. We looked into the micro and microplastic pollution, and we did the critical review afterwards. And also we did the comparative life cycle assessment. For the agricultural mulch, we did some comparisons with plastic mulch, bioplastic mulch, and starch-based plastic mulch. And we have seen that, especially in the use phase, the Click Recycle mulch can provide water savings, and also it provided some additional advantages in terms of microplastic release, indirect land use change, and biodiversity impacts. The second product was the adsorption barriers, and this again we compared with plastic barriers that are being used in ports, particularly in the use phase for the preservation of water resources. We have seen that due to its, better adsorption capacity, particularly for some of the contaminants, there were significant benefits through this second product. Next slide, please. The second product is a reef safe sunscreen. This is an ongoing project that I'm involved in. So they have done an eco-compatible formulation, obtained a patent for it, and they're trying to minimize the environmental impact coming from the packaging as well. So what they would like to do is to validate the environmental claims at this point. And one thing they wanted to do is become, one of the products that are acknowledged by the Water Revolution Foundation, which they have a hub for sustainable products that they consider having minimal impacts on the coral reefs and marine ecosystems. So hopefully we will be completing this soon, and the company will be recognized for its environmental claims by the Water Revolution Foundation. And here we are applying additional life cycle impact assessment methodologies, and it will be subject to critical review as well. So this is just, a very quick recap of what I have done, how I see life cycle assessment can benefit the Green Assist program and its beneficiaries. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Özge, for sharing all this wonderful information. There's been a lot. The good news is that the slides will indeed be shared with you after the meeting. Özge is one of the about, I think, 400 experts that we have now on the Green Assist, and it's very good. There were questions about the expert database. It's constantly updated, and as we speak, colleagues, I remember we had not long ago a dedicated call for experts in the water area. Perhaps it's still good to see somehow whether we can put in the chat also a link if there are experts around here who are interested to become a Green Assist expert. Then I think that expert database is constantly updated, so that's very good. And also very, very important what I retained from your presentation is also when it comes to LCAs, they can be really subjective and turn toward with assumptions and whatever, and you put really emphasis on this being scientifically robust and transparent. And in a way, the mechanism of Green Assist is also securing that, because the beneficiary, does the matching between the beneficiary and the expert is done by the colleagues here. So therefore, we really have an objective and independent approach, and that is at the end, of course, important to get projects to higher investment readiness. So there are a few questions actually talking about investment readiness that may be interesting to go to. And Mateusz, I know you're with me, but I had already seen one. And I think one was very interesting.
We have 4 questions. Yeah,
yes,
we have 4
yes,
questions.
Yes.
So maybe the first
okay,
one.
You go.
I will start. Yes, with the first one from Kiaran. Does anyone know the financial green premium that these projects are achieving from banks/financiers by undertaken taxonomy alignment? Typical premiums? That's the first one.
Yes, and then actually, if you see in the chat, there was actually quite an exchange already on it, right? Because there has been links indeed, and then we see, according to Leonore Schrever, Global Head of Sustainable Finance at ING, discounts and penalties that will vary between 5 and 10% of the interest rate. So that seems to be more or less the common ground, right? So, but it's good indeed to see that there has been a rich exchange on this one already in the chat, right? I don't know whether there's any of the presenters, perhaps from the Commission or others, who would like to comment on this one. It's a quite specific question, and we may not have the right people. But if there is one of the speakers who would like to comment on it, feel free to grab the phone now. If not, then I think there is already a hook here in the chat by the participants. Yes. Which other ones did you identify, Mateusz?
Yeah,
yes.
Another one from Johannes. Is it possible to update the expert profile in the Green Assist database?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just posted. You can contact our colleagues at expertgreenassist@ecoris.com.
Perfect.
Okay, I didn't understand that. It means once you have uploaded your profile, can you still update it? Of course, yes. That I didn't understood it. Very important. That's possible. Great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The third one is from Najla. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Christina, are the services, but I think it's already addressed. Are the services provided by Green Assist free of charge, like the Horizon Booster? Yes, they are free of charge. And could Innovation Action EU projects use such services? That's the second question.
Yes, so it's free of charge for beneficiaries. Yes, in principle, Innovation Action can receive support from Green Assist as long as we're not duplicating the support, but I highly doubt that would be the case. So in case an Innovation Action, after its completion of the Horizon program, needs say a business model or life cycle assessment, they can ask for support under Green Assist.
Perfect. Thank you. The last one from Luke. Can Green Assist be used to help scoping and building the investment case? At this stage, the exact investment size is still undetermined and will be based on output of the Green Assist market research.
Yeah, yes. Yes, as long as we have an estimate of either the investment or at least the capital expenditure, the project costs. But yes, the short answer.
Okay. I mean, on this one, of course, I think, it's as it goes by as a saying, I mean, the whole program is funded by public money from the Life Fund, and of course, anybody, using that fund, would need to demonstrate that there is a societal impact. So that can be through the investment size, as we mentioned, but also strong environmental impact. So the stronger your environmental impact can be, perhaps investment size is well, it's still a minimum, but those two are really both equally, I would say, very, very important. So you need to be able to demonstrate that your project makes a difference, as the projects from Jean-Michel and as presented by Eske have convincingly demonstrated indeed. So yeah, very, very good questions, and indeed very important to do that. I don't know whether these were more or less the questions, right?
There is still one more.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
there's still one
please.
more. Is there a financial instrument available from CINEA to support projects in terms of grants and or equity? That's the last one.
Yeah, in a way, that brings us to the funding question. Perhaps when we come to the closing from the CINEA colleagues, they can return to it. But of course, there are available EU funds, and some may be indeed linked. Some of them may be managed by CINEA or other parts of the Commission. But to my knowledge, there's not a one-on-one link. And actually, that is actually one of the beauties of Green Assist, that it is not linked to any of the, let's say, European public or any other of the funds. It is really a standalone one in that sense. And it depends really on the type of project, what will be the next in terms of, what we call investment readiness, right?
Thank you, Martin. I know that Andrea from DG Environment also has a word to say. So
I was about to check whether there are others in the call, so it's very good. Andrea Bianchini, right, from DG Environment. Good to have you. You are the policy pusher behind Green Assist, if I may say so. So it's great to have your take. Over to you, Andrea.
Thanks, Colleagues. Yeah, just to say, in order to reply to this question, that we cannot say that there are instruments available from CINEA. CINEA is the executive agency part of the Commission, who is also responsible to provide to put in practice the LIFE program. But it's good to know that the Green Assist initiative is part of the InvestEU program. So it's helping to prepare investment that can be done supported by InvestEU implementing partners, which are normally the banks that can offer in turn, depending on the project, venture capital, equity, and so on. There are different funding streams, different opportunities, part of this program.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is, I think, very, very important point. So the projects that are undertaken by Green Assist, can be having both a public and a private funding window, and it depends very much, of course. Projects which are focusing very much on the public gain will be more suitable for public funding, and those which have a stronger revenue component will be more suitable for private funding. So That is clear. I see that Arnold and Trudy are still in the call also. I don't know whether you have any reflection before we go to the CINEA colleagues to wrap up and aware of time. If not, no, then I think, yes, Paul, please.
I don't see my camera. There it is. We should not forget that not everything is done in Brussels. We give support, but please be aware of your national contacts, know your national policy makers if relevant for your project in the regional ones. Also, they are also potentially giving you a lot of extra information. They are the ones who check on environmental permits the first time. So yes, it's exciting to be at EU level and know that we give support. That's very important. But do not forget the other layers of government and check what they have to offer for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that is both when it comes to funding, but also, of course, when it comes to really applying the regulations and the rules, right? The regulatory push, because many of the policies, including the big two directives that were mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, are of course transposed in very specific national legislation. So it's very important, of course, to know what is also the regulatory framework in each of the places where we work. Okay, without further ado, I think it's very good to turn now to the colleagues from, indeed, it was already mentioned, CINEA, the agency which is managing Green Assist. It is the European's Climate, Infrastructure and Environmental Executive Agency. And I think we have both Philippe and Gauthier with us. Philippe Trotman, Deputy Head, what do you take from it? And perhaps also bear in mind there is still a final question. What is the difference between environmental council and Green Assist? I don't know whether you can include that also in your closing words, but it's good to have your take on what we've heard so far and what are your messages to take home. Philippe.
Yes, many thanks, dear Jan Martin. And yeah, I start with your last question, Jan Martin. What do I take away from that? Well, I assisted to an extremely interesting session here. I'm grateful for all speakers, experts, and beneficiaries here. Yeah, a few words from our side, from CINEA. CINEA, I know we have a complicated name, but basically, yes, we are managing, we have been designing this Green Assist scheme. We oversee it and we closely cooperate with our colleagues from ECORIS who are in charge of the operational implementation of Green Assist. I hope we managed to catch your interest throughout these extremely interesting presentations here today. And if I say catching your interest, that can be in two ways. So first, maybe as an expert, maybe you are interested in joining Green Assist as an expert. And then I have a few words to say to you as well. Or you might be interested, of course, to use Green Assist as a beneficiary for your projects and helping you. And then I have a few words for you too. So first of all, looking now a few main takeaways for experts, if you look at the Green Assist scheme. The overall focus, the main focus that we put with Green Assist is on environmental footprint improvements, be it in nature and natural resources. So we always repeat that from the outset, because there are, of course, a lot of environmental programs, environmental not being a strict term. For example, Green Assist is not dealing primarily with climate change issues. So CO2 reduction, greenhouse gas reduction is not our primary target. We deal with it if it comes along with other environmental measures that improve the environmental footprint of a project. So now, for you as an expert, if you're interested, we very strongly rely on you on the experts for successfully implementing our scheme. Experts advise us to make sure that projects are not greenwashing projects. We heard that term many times today, and indeed, it's a very important one because we are very sensitive to that. We try to avoid that at all costs, not least to preserve also the reputation of Green Assist. We don't want to just rubber stamp something that is just there to be perceived in the public opinion. Experts also, of course, are an active part of the work program. They help the beneficiaries to stay on course with the implementation of their projects. So it's not just a passive part in the relationship, but really expecting a very active part here. We expect also the experts to defend their deliverables, the findings, the results, not only towards the beneficiaries, but to all external key stakeholders that are of relevance in such projects. We are thinking, for example, also of the financial actors, but it can also be the authorities and whoever might need to be convinced by the deliverables of a project. So that's clearly also something we would expect from an expert. And also to help us, we know that experts are normally sitting close to the source. So we are grateful if experts also give us hints or advise projects that they are aware of the existence of Green Assist and guide them towards the possibility of asking for Green Assist services. Experts are accountable to the beneficiaries, that's clear. It's a very trustful relationship that is being established there. But of course, we expect experts also to find the best environmental solution. So not just limiting themselves to the bare minimum, but really looking together with the beneficiaries to find in each single case the solution that promises the best environmental results. Now, turning towards the beneficiaries, in the next slide, please. If you're interested by Green Assist, and I hope we managed to convince you here today, a few things also to consider before you start, in the best case, applying. So again, please, very sensitive to greenwashing, to no greenwashing. Please carefully look that the substance or the business model is really a green one that you want to implement, because this is where we can really be of help for you. And we, of course, would help you then to make your projects financially viable, being a green project, which is not always an obvious task. If we speak of investments, it was mentioned, I think, also across the presentation today, we have a typical minimum investment level that we expect of a project that we support that amounts to 2.5 million euros as in terms of investment. That can be at the project level alone, but also feel free to look also further, and it might come with investments along the whole value chain. So don't limit yourself only maybe to the bare project level that you are developing. And yes, we said it many times, a Green Assist is free of charge. That's the good news. We think it's very user-friendly, and I think the feedback we get from many beneficiaries does tell us the same. We don't require formal engagement on the investment, so this is done on a best effort basis from the perspective of the beneficiary, and we can only recommend you make best use of it, because it helps you really then afterwards to convince decision makers. Also be sensitive to the deliverables, that they are actually exploitable. So we hope that Green Assist is not there to just fill the paper trace, but that deliverables are really serving their purpose. And yeah, consider whenever you go for such a project, the expert is really a trusted advisor that helps you in the same course, namely to bring forward your project. And please also look always at the project from a value of money perspective, in the sense that would you have spent yourself or would you have paid yourself for the advisory services if you had to pay for the Green Assist services, which is not the case because it's free. But we very much like if that principle, this perspective is being taken by the beneficiaries as well. I'll stop here. Again, I hope that you enjoyed a pleasant and informative and interesting session here, with many, many thanks to all colleagues who intervened here today. I think it was really a nice full picture that we got today. And just I pass back the floor to you, Jan Martin.
Thank you very much, Philip. That's wonderful closing words. A lot to take home. Indeed, there is an answer also to the last question. There's not specific training. Experts are supposed to be trained, but indeed, we have sessions and webinars where we go and dive, and we are very keen to build that community. You see here more context, right? How to reach out to us. We will also send the information to all the participants. Thank you for that. I would say we started talking about water resilience. We started with saying there's a lot of things are boiling in the water, and I would not say we've been able to get to the bottom of the water in all senses, but we've definitely been diving into it. And with all these contributions, a big thank you again to all the speakers, and hope that all together we can push things further and get to a more resilient water in Europe. And thank you all for pushing in that direction and to get a little bit of a greener and better world. Thank you so much also to Matthias and Andrea for the organizers and to everybody joining, and have a lovely afternoon. Bye now.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye all.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.